Yeah, thank you so much. So let me share my screen because, as you said, it's quite a shift, and I hope I can convey the process and the motivation and the reason why I'm doing this. And let me set the timer so I don't run too much over time, but I'll start right away. So, Fenexity, thank you very much for this opportunity of the battery spotlight. You will only see the word battery once, so let's see if you can spot it on the slides. But one thing I've come across recently very often is vertical integration. And I think by the end of my presentation, you will understand what I mean with vertical integration. So Fenexity does smart charging. What is smart charging and why do we need it? We focus on heavy-duty electric vehicles, which of course have a battery, such as trucks and buses. And with smart charging, we mean many things, but mainly we mean to reflect the prices of the energy system, especially the renewable energy system, which is driven by high volatility. We see here the characteristic day-ahead price curve with peaks in the morning and in the evening. And what happens with regular fleet operations, for example, with a bus fleet, is that you charge right when it's expensive and you charge at the same time, which leads to peaks, which also is expensive because you have to pay grid fees. So it's quite the suboptimal state. Then, of course, the next thing to do is to build an algorithm, an energy optimization mechanism that shifts charging to low prices and also serves peak shaving. So that is the main idea. There are many things running in parallel and on the background, which I will not dive into yet. But the beauty in this is that by saving money, you also reduce the carbon footprint because you mostly will be charging clean energy. And I will not be talking about algorithms, but I want to show you the face so you have seen what this actually looks like in operation. And for a fleet manager, he does not have batteries. Maybe he has a stationary storage battery, but he has vehicles to manage. So he needs to set maintenance, set the disposition, and also set the charging profiles for its vehicles. The end goal is to automate this to fully extent. To the people familiar with smart charging, OCPP is an abbreviation you might have heard of. So what we are building is OCPP license based on the open source framework of the Linux Energy Foundation. It's scalable and hostable in the cloud. So battery electric vehicles. Vehicles are mainly for driving, but what is so special about batteries and why am I today in the battery spotlight? Because I want to maybe trigger some people in the audience um, on a few things which you are probably aware of, but which is very important for us. We're trying to create and develop smart energy management systems that heavily rely on battery characteristics. So why are batteries so good? Because they have fast reaction times. We can do primary control reserve. We can do arbitrage. We have very tight control of the power consumption. And if we think towards bidirectional charging, also the provision of energy. And our new clean energy system definitely needs a lot of storage flexibility. If we achieve to unlock this flexibility by setting the right software interfaces at the battery management system level, we enable vertical integration, which means we enable to provide this flexibility to the whole system. And with this, I come to the last slide. This is us, the founder duo, David and me, with experience in software development, also mechanical engineering that soon moved towards the energy systems group during my PhD. And we have a lot of experience in that regard. And right now building the fleet management system, also energy management system. And if you want to connect, feel free to scan the QR code. I think I have slightly overstepped my time, but glad to answer any questions so far. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Benjamin, for the interesting presentation. So first question, as always, is there a question from the audience right up front? Don't be shy. I think there are many hands, or no, they are just clapping yet. Okay, good. Um, So let me ask you, who is your customer up front? Do you have any on the roadmap that you have ahead of you? Um, any specific companies or that you could name to anticipate the business case a little bit better?
Yeah, so the ideal customer profile for us in the phase we are right now is a fleet of, let's say, between 5 and 50 vehicles that are either going to electrify or already electric, which means there are some complexities in the disposition, the route optimization, and all that has to be entangled with the energy management system.
Mhm. From a technical perspective, what would be the requirements, the prerequisites that you would need in order to get operational with them? So are there any specific requirements on the software side, but also potentially from the hardware side that the customer needs to be aware of?
So maybe not, well, the customer probably has not too much experience with charging infrastructure himself, but the partners, we need to, of course, have close discussions with the partners to align on the interfaces. The
Hmm.
software systems at the client side, which are of most interest for us, would be things like disposition, schedule planning, schedule services, so that we can get the information of availability and energy need from the vehicles and place that into our algorithm. Thinking towards the future, what we need on the battery side of things is communicating to the vehicle controller, which in turn communicates with the battery energy management system. But so we are not going too deep on that side, but we rely on the vehicle OEMs to build systems that enable us to access this flexibility. Yeah, thank you.
Hmm. All right. Okay. So I think then I have a good understanding of what your innovation is about. And as you said, it's not a particularly battery-centered business case, but it certainly uses the battery as an integral part in its solution. Max, you're raising the hand. Go ahead, please. But you're muted.
Thanks. I actually have two questions, both regarding the business case. The
Yes.
first one is at the present. I just read that that there's a first offer in Germany where you can integrate your car in such a smart grid storage or like your what do you say virtual power plant,
Mm.
and they pay you about 800 euros for this. And in the interview I read, the question was asked like how much money is actually generated by having a car integrated in such a virtual power plant. Do you have any maybe numbers or an idea how much you can right now make with adapting your car in such a virtual power plant?
To be honest, I don't have a clear number. I know the ecosystem is ramping up after many years of the research department pushing bidirectional charging and leading the regulator to enable these kinds of business cases, removing double taxation and grid fees. But what I can tell you is that there's a huge potential for this business case, at least from a theoretical standpoint, because that's what I have done with not cars but buses. I have taken a look out at the Darmstadt, so the city I'm living in, Darmstadt electric bus depot as a whole, and compared or analyzed and optimized the electricity cost optimization at the short-term electricity market, which is exactly what these kind of business cases with V2G rely on. And to keep it short, it turns out you can, in some scenarios, reduce your electricity cost to basically zero. So there's definitely a huge potential for this.
Definitely a benefit to think about it. Um, Maybe a last question, and then we definitely have to move over to the next speaker. But is that a business model which will be viable in the future as well? I mean, the more storage capability or capacity is in the market, the lesser the fluctuation of the prices are, and the less money you can make with this. So is that a business case still viable in like 15 years?
That is a good question with a very long time horizon. In my personal opinion, I think there's always going to be volatility in the energy price or energy system of some degree for whatever reason. If it's not generation, then there might come other reasons from consumers that need energy at specific points in time. So I think there is always going to be the need for energy flexibility, but maybe that's just my personal take.
Perfect. Thank you for the short answer as well to a really tricky question. And Benjamin, thank you very much for
Thank
your
you.
insights. And we move over to our